Welcome to the Young Turks. Guess what just happened? Things just got real. In case you haven't realized it, things just got real. I'm not Cenk Hugo. I am J.R. Jackson. You know who I am. Don't lie. I've got Jimmy Dore. I've got Michael Shore helping me out here in the first hour. We're going to have some fun. We're going to get a little upset. We're going to be outraged. I mean, you know how this works by now. Am I right?
Yeah, there were people who were disappointed that Jimmy and I didn't fight yesterday. I think they realized that we rarely fight.
Well, that's what they brought me in today to make sure I facilitate that.
Yeah, well,
I'm an instigator.
Perhaps we will.
But before we get to anything else, first of all, good to have you guys. You guys didn't tell me that the Blazers was the look today.
You didn't tell us that the loose tie was. So.
Hey, you should. That's tradition as far as where I come from. But either way it goes.
St. Louis?
Detroit, LA. I'm just traveling around. But before we get to anything else, I do have to point out that we did launch a new TYT app. Tim Horcher did tell me to make sure I get to this. There's a new app, and just let you know what it is.
Literally a nerd alert.
We just need the sound to next. So the new app has many of the things that the old one has, plus more. So if you have the old one, you can actually just download the new one, and it replaces apparently.
You update? I think it's updating it, right?
I think you should do an extra download, and then it kicks the other one off. I don't know.
Right.
I have the Android. Maybe it works better on iPhones. I don't know. But either way it goes. Some of the things that, before I tell you what you get for downloading in this big celebration we have, new in the app is access to Young Turks video clips on demand, full capability to comment and respond through text, pictures, or video, interactive emojis. I'm all about emojis. And then also you can throw thumbs up.
Me too, right? You're quietly agreeing that, you get a Jimmy Dore emoji on this thing?
Actually, we should get one. If you agree or disagree with something that was happening, you can throw a tomato at someone, you can throw some thumbs up. Just, you know how emojis work. This is how it all comes out. But to celebrate, we're throwing a contest to see who has what it takes to debate the news issues of the day with TYT. So for many of the stories this week, you can create a 15-second or less video with a response to any of these other stories that we do with the hashtag NextTurk. That's NEXTTURK. It's not one of those things like DirecTV where they use the last T to start the next.
So there are two T's.
There's two T's.
So it's really NextTurk.
NextTurk. Yeah. Hashtags. So if you win, you can be featured across the top of the entire community in the app, and you can win TYT shirts and prizes. What those prizes are? TYT prizes.
How about a guess? Guess what those might be.
Outside of the T-shirts, a hat.
Yeah.
You have a vial of Cenk's sweat. I think that's also one of the prizes.
That's not rare.
That helps. I use that, and my dog hasn't had fleas for 2 months. So I just put a little bit, one drop of Cenk's sweat into his food once a week, no fleas.
I saw that. doing commercials during, I think, Maury's show.
Dr. Oz endorsed it, so you know it's got to be good.
I don't want to get too deep in that, but you did hear he's getting some backup from some guys at Fox News. They said that basically his freedom of speech is now being limited.
Yes.
Fox News is standing up and saying, please, you have to defend liars.
Yes. You have to. They don't defend science, they defend pseudo science. They're not big on science. But if you have some bullshit that's untested and not pure. Reviewed, they're all for it.
Oh, well, that's how it works. I think we should know it by now. I love it. So let's get to news. Make it happen.
Yes.
So I felt starting off from the day, President Barack Obama came out with an apologetic tone after a U.S. counterterrorism strike at the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan in January killed 2 hostages as they were targeting Al-Qaeda members. So when it happened, of course, it was kept secret for a while. But the 2 members, one was an American, the other one was an Italian, Warren Weinstein and Giovanni Laporto.
Which was the Italian?
I was going to have to clarify, but I figured I didn't. Right? So they were both killed because they were being held hostage. Now, before we get to any of the things that Obama was saying in this press conference, I think it was over 8 minutes long. I had to listen to the entire thing, all the pauses included. I at least want to get to who the American was, because that's apparently the only. I mean, I didn't get too much information on the Italian. I'm sure in other publications it was there. But it was just a little sad, the first aspect of who this guy was. His name was Warren Weinstein again. He was a 73-year-old international development worker. He was in it working with a contract with the U.S. Agency for International Development. He was there from 2004 and supposed to be gone in 2011. That is when they captured him. 4 days before his 7-year contract was up. So just imagining from, say, Monday, Friday's coming, and that's the end of your 7 years overseas in Pakistan area. So he was kidnapped in 2013, 2 years after his kidnapping. There was a video that came out where basically he was, quote, totally abandoned and forgotten. Felt he was totally abandoned and forgotten by the American government, which could have been, again, another one of those hostage tapes where you don't know what he was told to say or what he really felt. So it was a little sad. So he was one of the victims in this hostage attack, or in this attack, counterterrorism attack America had. So let's listen to what the president had to say.
Based on information and intelligence we have obtained, we believe that a U.S. counterterrorism operation targeting an Al-Qaeda compound in the Afghanistan-Pakistan border region accidentally killed Warren and Giovanni this past January. I know that there is nothing that I can ever say or do to ease their heartache, and today I simply want to say this. As President and as Commander-in-Chief, I take full responsibility for all our counterterrorism operations, including the one that inadvertently took the lives of Warren and Giovanni. I profoundly regret what happened. On behalf of the United States government, I offer our deepest apologies to the families.
And then he went into the Rose Garden and welcomed the New England Patriots. But
Yeah,
which is, I mean, it's one of the unfair things about being president is you have to do a lot of things in a
And those are the type of things they never get pointing out, if they want to show whether or not someone was, heartfelt in this. I mean, also the fact that, you have to read these types of things. The sincere and heartfelt apology, and we have to see what really went down, and we're going to get full development of what happened here. So, I mean, it's a sad situation, and then you wonder how much this could have been avoided. And the first thing that came into my mind was an American and an Italian, one of our allies, was over there, and they were killed in this attack. And again, I hate to take it to this point a lot of times, but how many innocent people were killed in a lot of our attacks in counterterrorism operations? And I know we can't have a press conference about everyone because there's thousands. So it's just, I think it's helpful, or at least to be conveyed that we care about that.
Yeah, well, inadvertently killing our own is always going to, engender a press conference, whereas every other, casualty will not do that. I mean, that's just part of war.
Maybe even like acknowledgement. I mean, it actually gets to the next clip because Obama then talks about how at least the tactics we use were consistent with the way we're supposed to. So let's listen to what he said then.
Our initial assessment indicates that this operation was fully consistent with the guidelines under which we conduct counterterrorism efforts in the region. We believed that this was an al-Qaeda compound, that no civilians were present, and that capturing these terrorists was not possible. And we do believe that the operation did take out dangerous members of al-Qaeda. What we did not know, tragically, is that al-Qaeda was hiding the presence of Warren and Giuliani in this same compound.
Again, I don't want to assume that we're supposed to have these types of press conferences when it happens, but I at least want some acknowledgement that we make mistakes, even when it's not Americans and allies that are getting killed. Because what it does is it fuels a lot of people, or at least fuels a lot of the terrorist organizations, their pitch to recruit people to say, they don't care, they just killed your cousin and your uncle and your mother and your daughter. And then there's a lot of anger that comes with that. So I would love for us to convey that there's some care for it. And maybe I've missed it, because we always talk about that, how things that fuel the kind of recruitment that they end up getting.
I don't really have anything to say. I mean, it's just a sad situation. There's a guy, I was in Afghanistan. I almost said, well, what is this guy doing in Pakistan? But maybe, he wants to make a difference. And so it's just a sad thing. He got kidnapped. Like you said, 4 days before he was supposed to go back to home. It's super tragedy. There was a drone strike, from what I understand, that blew up the compound where he was being held captive and killed him.
Yeah.
I don't know what. First of all, it's funny that we're doing military operations in another country called Pakistan. They have their own military, right? They have their own thing. They have cops and a military. They have nuclear bombs, Pakistan. So it's weird that
settle down, Rand. One of the things that isn't being talked about enough, I think, in this story, aside from the obvious, aside from the tragedy, aside from the drone question, the things that we talk about all the time, is our terrible record at rescuing people. And when you look at this goes back to the Iranian hostages and Jimmy Carter, and since then, whenever we go in to rescue, we have trouble with it. While other countries, Germany, Great Britain, France, even in these past few years, they've rescued their people, and it's amazing to me how we have really lagged in our rescue efforts, and I think it's a story that just isn't told about this.
Why do you think that is? I mean, first of all, I wasn't aware that other countries were more successful than us
in rescuing their own people. Yeah, they have been, and we were close to getting a British national and an American woman. Recently, they got away. They left before just before we'd gotten there. I don't know what. I mean, I'm certainly not the person to ask, but as an observer, I think it's something that is underreported and under talked about, and I think that it's under talked about. It's something that people should that we should pay attention to. I don't know how you shore up your rescue missions, but we're so concerned with the offensives and we're so concerned with the defensive. The actually getting in and getting someone like Warren Weinstein, getting him out seems like it would be a priority at a certain point, and we're ineffectual when it comes to that.
It makes me wonder. I wonder if we have the type of, it's like a stealth capability. I wonder how many how many actual soldiers these other countries lose in doing these types of operations, and maybe we're not willing.
Well, they're also not as hyper involved in the overall effort, so they can spend all their time trying to rescue their own. That could be what they use their intelligence for, because we have to use our intelligence for war and beating the enemy and things like that. So and that could be it. But again, we're lay people talking about it.
I don't think we just put our finger on it.
Do you think we just solved it?
I think we solved it.
All right. Okay. We should be a smaller country. Okay. We figured it out.
Well, we can shift more domestically. I mean, it's somewhat domestic. We had an American lost. But shift a little bit more stateside with, I don't know if you guys remember back when Arkansas and Indiana both had their anti-gay legislation, but in reality they were trying to make it seem like it was religious freedom bills,
right,
to allow businesses to discriminate against, maybe a gay couple that's looking to have their wedding, need something catering, and maybe need something involved, or even a pizza shop.
Right.
All that needs to be involved with being allowed to just live free and equal. So, remembering that, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal has decided to point out that he's not going to be soft like those other two governors of Arkansas and Indiana, and he's going to stay firm to his anti-gay bill, which was actually introduced by the state representative Mike Johnson, which allows for some more religious freedom. So, to get out ahead of any of the criticism, Bobby Jindal wrote an op-ed in the New York Times for Thursday, and he decided to say, you know what, I'm not soft like those guys. So let's take a look at one of his first quotes from the article. In Indiana and Arkansas, large corporations recently joined left-wing activists to bully elected officials into backing away from strong protections for religious liberty. He went on to say, it was disappointing to see conservative leaders so hastily retreat on legislation that would simply allow for an individual or business to claim a right to free exercise of religion in a court of law. He was disappointed.
Bobby Jindal is flailing as an almost presidential candidate and has been for a while now. He's not well liked in Louisiana. He is not getting any kind of traction in the national conversation for president when people at one time had him in the top 4 or 5 anyway.
What seemed to kill him was when he gave that response to one of Barack Obama's
State of the Union.
Just his awkward walk to his podium, and he was done. It was like the Marco Rubio water thing.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Marco Rubio, the water thing, and look at him. He's getting all Sheldon Adelson.
I think he's leading right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So why does it, I know that's weird. It's weird that walk killed Bobby Jindal, but it doesn't kill Marco Rubio.
Yeah, why anyone would ever do the response to the State of the Union boggles my mind.
It's a loser.
Nobody has ever gotten, look at, it all started for her at the response to the State of the Union. Bobby Jindal, though not just not learning from, national politics and national debate, there are 2 other governors, part of his Republican Governors Association, who were chasing. I would say it's different what happened to Mike Pence in Indiana from what happened to Asa Hutchinson in Arkansas. Asa Hutchinson actually was reasonable, smart, and right in the end. Mike Pence did everything he could to not cave, and then he caved. So I think you saw leadership from a governor who has been a problem in the past, let's say, Asa Hutchinson. But he has been, he really showed leadership there. And Bobby Jindal, it's as if he wasn't paying attention at all to what was going on in these other states.
So I think what Bobby Jindal's doing is that he just wants to get some traction in a primary, and that's going to give him a certain amount of traction. So that's the Rick Santorum, I'm going to be against masturbation and get those fucking crazies, right? Because that's 2%. And then, so you start to build on the crazy. That's what I think he's doing. When I saw him, he's like, well, Mike Pence just kissed off the crazy right-wing base, that 10% that still supports Dick Cheney, but I'm not going to write them off, and that gives me a strong foothold to build. I think that's exactly what he's doing, right?
Yeah, I think he's doing it, but there's so little pie to be claimed by Bobby Jindal, and nobody goes to him for that either. The people that are paying attention to those issues are looking, even if they're not looking at Rick Santorum, they're looking at Mike Huckabee. You have to remember, Mike Huckabee, he won the Iowa caucuses, so he's not a stranger to this.
Right.
And then there's Ben Carson, and then there are even these
Rick Perry.
There's Ted Cruz this year.
Oh, that's right.
And so Ted Cruz, who, by the way, did not vote in the Loretta Lynch confirmation hearings today. I don't know if we're going to talk about that at all. Did not vote. Was there in Washington, but then he had to fly home to Texas for a fundraiser tonight. So he didn't vote for the Loretta. All he's been talking about is Loretta Lynch, and he didn't vote. I digress.
Yeah.
So Bobby Jindal doesn't have any ownership of that. He should go for economics. He should point to something that went well in Louisiana if he wants to sort of have a slice.
Well, the precedent has been set that it has to be an emotional thing. And actually, I think he's taken a page out of Cruz's book early in the week when he
Green
had a
eggs
little
and a
back
ham?
and forth. He's going with cat in the hat.
Okay.
He had a back and forth, Cruz did, with John McCain about saying, well, I've been asking John McCain to get some guns in our military bases so they won't get shot up anymore. And he was going through that whole thing to show he's a rebel. He's the new Maverick. I'm Maverick, the Maverick. So now here, these guys have to find a way to go after other Republicans and say they're not assholes enough to be as big of an asshole as I'm going to be.
Right.
So he had to call up Mike Pence and Hutchinson and be like, look at those pussies. What the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm better than them. And I don't know how the realization doesn't come to you. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, it might get him somewhere in Louisiana for a minute, but his popularity there is terrible, and he's not running in Louisiana. So, yeah,
you
curious.
You said that he should talk about some of the things they've done successfully down in Louisiana. Like if you have oysters you want to kill, they're able to kill all your oysters.
Right.
If you want to kill dolphins, they can give them lung cancer. Stuff like that, they're really good at doing off the coast of Louisiana.
Right, and their people, too, by the way.
I mean, and I want to add more of what his op-ed was, because he didn't just attack other Republicans, conservatives, did Cowtown, but he went after big businesses because, that always works. The next slide he had, he said, come with the fact that political leaders in both states quickly cowered amid the shrieks of big business and the radical left should alarm us all.
Yeah, you know, JR, how the radical left and big corporations are such a great pair together. What the F are you
They team up all the time to
radical left. It wasn't the radical left. It was the radical normal people. There's more normal people. That's what it was.
Yeah.
This had the radical left and big corporations, huh? You know how when the Nazis and the Jews got together, remember when they came after us? You got to watch out. When the Nazis and the Jews get together, shit's going to hit the fan.
They're so used to strawman arguments. They just go they pit two entities and say, these are our enemies. Don't you hate them? Doesn't work out that way. And the last contradiction he had in two parts of this last part of the op-ed that I enjoyed, we should ensure that musicians, caterers, photographers, and others should be immune from government coercion on deeply held religious convictions. Now listen, when he said immune from government coercion on their religious convictions, it means they should be immune, kept from having to do something. Next slide.
By the way, there's not a Republican running against Bobby Jindal, who is, by the way, not announced as exploring maybe, who would be say, okay, you know what, I'm going to surrender the caterers, photographers, and musicians who are Republicans. I'll surrender those to Bobby Jindal. Like, all right, I can live without those and still maybe win New Hampshire. So it's an absurd conversation.
Yeah, don't forget, these two sentences were right next to each other. They're immune from it. Next one. The bill does not, as opponents assert, create a right to discriminate against or generally refuse service to gay men or lesbians. I guess unless you're a musician, a caterer, a photographer, or others.
Right.
Then you can do it. So are you immune from it, or are you allowed?
Well, what's the point of the bill? That's the whole point of the bill, is so you can discriminate against gay people because you have the love of Jesus, and the love of Jesus doesn't allow you to love gay people. It makes you hate them because you're thinking about what they're doing with their Johnsons, and you don't. Who was the guy Mike Johnson sponsored?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, who's really going to get their wedding catered by a pizzeria? So that's
Chris Christie.
It's a totally different primary.
We'll stay in the state of Louisiana, near Baton Rouge and Port Allen. There was so West Baton Rouge police officers, I guess they were working with the Port Allen officers because it happened in the holding cell for West Baton Rouge Police Department. They're arguing with some video evidence that shows that they hazed, beat, handcuffed, kind of ruthlessly worked and beat to kill eventually, and of course an unarmed 38-year-old black man by the name of Irvin Edwards. Now, originally the police officers in Port Allen were called to a disturbance at a gas station as Edwards and his girlfriend were arguing, I guess loudly enough for people to be alarmed. They show up, the argument has already calmed down.
Cops get their arguments over.
Yeah, they get down and they calm down. The girlfriend is even telling them everything is cool, right? Cops notice, I see his DVDs. Remember those underwear?
Yeah.
I can see some a little bit area of his top of his underwear.
And his pants are
sagging pants.
Which is against the law.
That's illegal in the state of Louisiana, or maybe in the city of Baton Rouge or Port
It
Allen.
would be a city.
City of Baton Rouge.
City ordinance. Let's make sure.
Against the law to have baggy pants.
Yes. So once they notice that, they decide to go ahead and comment about those, maybe detain him for a bit. He gets a little bit upset, at least that's what the accounts say, and he struggled with them as they arrested him and took him in. Threatened to tase him, and upon that, his girlfriend does tell them, hey, he's got a heart condition, high blood pressure. You might not want to tase him. That could kill him. So it's okay. We held off until we get into the police station to kill him. So hang
on, Jimmy's got a call.
I got a call. Go ahead.
So anyway, they take him on into the Baton Rouge police station. 6 police officers, you're gonna see in this video, pin him down, and the story goes that he tased him for 5 seconds. One particular officer tased him for 5 seconds.
That's what he says. That's what the officer said.
Officer Dustin McMillan, he's a Port Arthur police. He said he used a stun gun for its full 5-second cycle. And then he reholstered it because, it wasn't working. So usually when, our police officers, once something isn't working on a big guy that they're trying to detain, they go,
it's work.
Go on.
Yeah.
I'm going to put my weapon back. Usually put the weapon back to pull out the more lethal one.
The video shows something very different from what...
I want you to remember the story as we watch this video. There was no sound to it, of course, because this is the surveillance video that was finally released. Count how many officers are in the room and see if you can see the suspect on the ground.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cops, 7 cops with the cop in the doorway. Mm-hmm. So now let's remember, this guy was arrested for baggy pants. So he's not a criminal. He didn't do anything, but the state takes him into a cement cell and starts beating the shit out of him, and then they electrocute him.
Look at the officer. We can see his arm. The big guy above is blocking everything right now. But the officer just above him, once he backs away, his arm this entire time is tasing
him.
Right there.
See that?
Tasing him on his butt, his ass.
He's just continuously tasing him.
This hasn't stopped.
Continuously. So they say he was tased for over a minute straight. Look at it, continuously. They're electrocuting a guy. You're electrocuting a guy. 50,000 volts going through his body. I mean, that's unbelievable pain. It's so bad it kills him. They literally kill a guy. And these are cops. They're doing this to a guy who isn't a criminal. He didn't do a fucking thing. He might even have a mental problem. And this is how they handle it. So when you give guys like this, but let's remember, if you're too smart, you can't become a cop.
Yeah,
and this is perfect example why.
They do say that he is partially deaf and has mental disabilities.
Yes.
So as you see, his pants are now down around his ankles as he lay motionless.
Oh, well, then that's...
So, I mean, now he's really sagging, because they must really be upset. Yank his pants off and take him out with him, because there might be some weapons in there.
No, let's just leave him in here.
And they all leave, close the door.
Oh, I guess we electrocuted him, and now he's face down and not moving, so I guess it worked. And he's just another citizen, but he's black, and who gives a fuck? So let's get out of here.
And he sat there for 10 minutes before they even went back in to check on him.
Let's run the next. It also has sound going. So as he lies there, you can see the graphic at the bottom. They sped it up because to watch this horror for over 9 minutes, might be disgusting. So during that whole time, there's the window you can see a couple cops peek through, and finally they come in, and our largest officer wants to see if this dangerous criminal is going to do anything else, so he decides to, kick him in his foot. See if he's going to make a move before they.
Why don't you electrocute him again?
So this is in November of 2013.
Why not electrocute him some more?
Just as far as the third lie that they told, after we saw that video, it said that after they left, they found him breathing and moving his arms. They checked on him a couple times to make sure his well-being was okay. And as we can see, that didn't happen. So now they're battling with this obvious evidence that completely goes in the face of their story. Which again, and I've been saying this before, if there's a track record for a group that consistently lies about their actions, and I know it's particular each police department, but we still believe the police officer's first story when there's no evidence like this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I don't know.
Anytime a police officer has a story, let's investigate, because it's most likely a lie.
Well, I'll tell you why, because we're collectively as a country, we're a bunch of adult children of alcoholics. and we've been traumatized, and what we do is we turn a blind eye to the real problem, and we always get mad at the person who points out what the problem is, and we shut that person down. It's exactly what we're doing in this country. We've done, look what happened with Occupy Wall Street. Again, from coast to coast, cops were allowed to violate. In fact, they just had a $2 million settlement for when they broke up the Occupy Wall Street here in Los Angeles. They just had a settlement of $2 million because the cops handcuffed people, made them kneel in concrete in a parking garage for 7 hours straight. Some people had seizures. Some people passed out. They were made to defecate in their pants. This is how cops treated protesters in Los Angeles, right? So, and my nobody goes to jail. None of those cops get fired. Nobody has to pay. You know what they do? They take $2 million that we paid in taxes and we give it back to those people. Nobody has to be accountable for it. By the way, one more statistic. So for people who say, hey, it's just bad apples and it's not a culture of corrupt policing from coast to coast, which is what it is. For those people who say that, I would like to ask you, do you know how much money? Bloomberg News said that New York City paid out in 1 year for police brutality, $750 million in 1 year. They paid out for police brutality in New York City. That's more money than they spend on the Parks and Recreation Department. They paid just for police brutality. So that's not a bad apple. By the way, where are the good cops in this video? There's 7 or 8 cops. If it's supposed to be just a bad apple, you would think the other 6 cops would report that guy or do something good. None of them do anything. It's a culture. It's a blue line. And we've got to start the conversation in this country to stop this, right? We have to turn this around. It's because we've become a more brutal society in general ever since the drug war, and then 9/11 put us into high gear. And now we're torturing people, killing people with drones. Whatever we do to people overseas, we eventually do to ourselves. We tortured people overseas. We tortured our own prisoners of war. We tortured our own soldiers. Private Bradley, Chelsea Manning. We tortured her, okay? So we're doing that, and now we're just killing people randomly. We cracked the heads of peaceful protesters. In fact, it just came out because of a Freedom of Information request that in Ferguson, the what do they call the National Guard directives were to treat the protesters as the enemy. They called them the enemy. This is exactly what we've been saying, which is wrong with policing in America, is that they see citizens as the enemy.
Well, different in this particular case, Jimmy, despite all that you just said. There was an internal review of it. And you know what they came up with?
What?
They found no criminal wrongdoing.
You're kidding.
And Edward's cause of death was classified as undetermined.
Undetermined, yes.
Undetermined.
Let's get that slide.
That video seemed very undetermined.
Undetermined, and officially it was a result of acute cocaine and PCP intoxication in association with restraint by law enforcement.
In association with restraint by law enforcement.
Is that a new production company?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And with Dick Clark Productions.
It's hard to, Jimmy, you just said they have to start the conversation. The conversation started.
Okay,
so,
good.
And in no small part to what's gone on this show, but all across the country, people talking about it and protesting it and bringing this stuff to light. And the fact that you have body cams on police, I mean, that's the result. The sad necessity of it is the result of people having this conversation and being outraged at what they're seeing. It doesn't mean it's going to stop, obviously, but I would imagine, just knowing that this technology is part of policing or is becoming part of policing is going to, I'm always hopeful, is going to make a big difference.
When they've done pilot programs with body cams, the reports of police abuse go way down. I think in San Diego they went down 84%. So these things really, so it's not a panacea, right? When you have a body cam, that doesn't stop what's happening from happening, but it does actually, because they're thinking, oh, I'm on camera, so I
For the community to vote on. You can interact with Anna, Jenk, me, and others in the TYT community.
Who are the others?
Michael Lindor, come on.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to connect with other TYT Army members. It's fun times. Also, if you have the old app, update, and you'll get the new one. Fun times. So actually, I have a couple of the TYT lives to read because they're positive about me. No More Donations says, yes, capital letters, exclamation point. Dale Jackson in the captaincy. It's been long past overdue. And
thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We need to see a couple emojis in here. The pedantic polemist said, what a surprise. A drone strike killed an innocent. Crazy how that works. Ernie Satirokos. Oh, what do you know? I'm jinking these names. At least we're hearing about this and it wasn't covered up. Hashtag transparency. Talking about the killing of the American and the Italian in that strike near Pakistan. Which I guess is a good point in bringing it up. I mean, there's probably many of these that we do cover up, as I think I was mentioning a little bit before with when it's not an American, when it's not an ally. So they do cover up a lot of these things, and it could be worse, I suppose. But as Obama actually went on to say, they're going to release their findings of what exactly happened, so that the American public knows we're a democracy. You guys have a right to know what's going on. So I get it. Good stuff. If it wasn't 20 minutes till I'd read all these, because there's more good stuff about me.
Read one more good one about you. Just one more good one about you.
I can't find it.
Yeah, exactly. Ask and answer. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
And not on this. You know why? Because Jen is not giving me all the good ones.
Okay, it's all right.
Okay, that's fine.
It's always not my fault.
Right.
Either way it goes. Let's go on to the next one, you guys. So we're talking about presidential nominees, mostly on the Republican side because they're all coming out. Jeb Bush is one that is not yet announced, but his new bumper sticker just might be, "You even paleo, bro?" In an attempt to lose some weight, Jeb Bush has begun the paleo diet. That fantastic diet where you eat only, I think, lean meats and some fresh fruits and vegetables. No, just fruits.
I don't know
what
some
vegetables too.
It's what President Clinton's on it too, isn't it? Is that the diet that I don't know exactly. He's a vegan diet, so maybe he doesn't eat.
Yeah, the lean meats.
Yeah.
You have to eat tons of these lean cuts of meats and probably lots of steaks. I don't know. I had some friends talk about it, and in the middle of their explanation, I stopped listening because you guys have seen my drawer. You've seen the Doritos, the Fritos.
Yes.
Right. Calm down. No paleo for me. Either way, his camp won't actually let us on to how much weight he's actually lost already, but estimates show 20 to 30 pounds.
Yeah, you can see it. And I knew when I saw the weight coming off. I actually thought he was going to run in 2012, but I followed it pretty closely. I knew when I saw the weight coming off that meant he was going to run for president.
I mean, it was. Number 11. For Bush, the results have been noticeable. Late last year, he was something of a pudgy doughboy with a full face and soft jawline, according to Reuters. Today, the 6'4" tall Bush sports a more chiseled look. His campaign in waiting would not say how much he had lost, but as I was mentioning, it looks like he's lost 20 to 30 pounds. So as he's on the trail, they always talk about how things are thrown at you. You end up having to eat which convention, not convention, but there's always some event where the candidates always eat like a corn dog, and it's the worst still pictures for them. And I don't know why they do it anymore.
Right.
Because the internet is here.
That's the straw poll. In Iowa, they seem to all eat corn dogs.
Yeah, they shove corn dogs in their face and fried butter and fried Snickers and all that stuff. So these are things.
Yeah, state fairs always have those too.
Yeah, and then they want to go to the heartland of America to show that they're the real American, because people live in California, New York, Vermont, and Oregon are un-American.
Right. Either way it goes.
So either way it goes. So in bringing that up, when you go to a diner or a coffee shop, this is Kevin Madden. He's a senior advisor for Mitt Romney when he had his run. When you go to a diner or a coffee shop, you'd be surprised how often pages will offer you a donut, a piece of pie, something that is deep fried, has sugar on it. And again, as you mentioned at the Iowa State Fair, everything is deep fried on a stick. It's hard to resist. So in having to deal with some of these situations, I'm not sure Jeb is going to keep up with the diet, as he mentions in the last slide. He mentioned when he was eating some fattening food at one of these conventions or these fairs, to hell with the diet, where are the French fries? You have to look a certain way, and if you're fat, what does it mean? It means you're going to die in office. Does it mean that you're not going to be able to fulfill your duties? Does it mean you can't run and press the button in time because you're slow?
It means how are you going to press the button if you're stuck in the tub? Right? Like Taft. That's what happened with Taft.
There was no button to push, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And actually, I remember when Obama was running, and there was I feel like everyone talked about the beach picture. Like, look at the sexy Obama. And I was like,
was he not president then? That was when he was a kid.
I feel like it was when he was a kid. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. It was my memory serves, which is a bad memory. Either way it goes, we'll see if it works out for Jeb. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about, do you guys think, despite the potential weight problems and stuff, like he's going to get in? At one point, Jeb was the name. Is it just a given that it's Hillary Jeb?
No, it's not.
Clinton, no. Yeah, that's what everyone likes to say immediately. And when it comes to the Republican side, there's so many buffoons.
I mean, it's much more of a given that Hillary will be the nominee than Jeb will be. I mean, just because of the fact that Jeb has opponents. And Hillary will, but they won't be opponents like last time. There won't be an enigma, like there was with Obama. It'll be very different. What hurt her last time is she was the barrier breaker, right? She was running as a woman, breaking the glass ceiling, and then all of a sudden, another barrier breaker came along, and that was tough, and he was great. So that's not going to happen to her this time. But on the Republican side, there will probably be the cycling of candidates as there was last time. Bush has the best organization in terms of raising money, but it's still, they still have to run the race, and he's a better debater than people think of Jeb Bush. But he's gonna, they're gonna be the Rand Paul moments. They're gonna be the Stout Walker moments, to be sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, I remember before 2000, people were saying there was whispers that Jeb was actually the dumb one, right?
No. Jeb was always thought of as the more substantial and the more policy-minded, and he was a governor that actually had ideas and did things where the governor of Florida is a very strong office, the governor of Texas is not.
Yeah.
And so they always thought of him as the one, and he's older, and they thought that would be, that he would. No, he's not older. But he was in office longer, so they thought that he would be the one to.
So what is you know more about this behind the scenes. So what are people saying about him now? And it's his intellect.
Well, they think that he's a smart guy. Yeah, they think he's a smart guy. They think he's his father's son more than he's his brother's brother.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, and the distancing himself from.
But I mean, his policies are what his policies are, and his beliefs and his religious adherence, and sometimes he's far on to the right. That's no different. But to the extent of his capacity to lead and to be someone with ideas and to compromise, certainly better than his brother.
And he speaks fluent Spanish.
Oh,
the winner. Okay, so keeping with our presidential candidates, Rand Paul has a campaign store where you want to sell some dudes, some dads, some t-shirts, some flip-flops, some hats. We do that at the TYT store. No flip-flops, but we do have other things. He had a great idea. Ray-Bans with Rand on the side. We can take a look at the picture. He decided to post, there's one shot of him looking cool. If you can't read it, it's call it cool. Political fashion is boring. Rand fashion is cool. Make a statement. So if you don't look like that guy and wear those glasses, they're Ray-Bans and Rand on. At the same time, that's pretty. That's a clever thought.
Rand band.
You want to get it with the what is that? The leopard.
I wore my Rand bands to watch the Dan band.
I watched my Ray Rans.
So these are Ray-Bans, Wayfarers. I've never liked that particular look of Ray-Bans. I don't know who wears those.
The Wayfarer?
Yeah,
it was a very popular, maybe their most popular ever.
It's true. That's why I never wore.
That was Tom Cruise in Cocktail. I think he wore those.
I think it was a cocktail, or was it Risky Business?
Maybe Risky Business.
Yeah, you can tell these things. So it shows just how classic these are, and I guess that's the audience he's looking for. Maybe they'd buy them. Sometimes these types of articles, these types of items on people's stores, I'm like, before they go away, these are like memorabilia. Like he had some randomly failed attempt at the Frick Santorum had some in his store from his last attempt. He also have that.
Like he sold sweater vests in his store last.
He did. That's right.
Now, they had the Ray-Bans. Do we still have the photo of Vice President Biden from yesterday?
I think
look at a guy who knows that's how you wear sunglasses. That's pretty good looking. I mean, who are you going to pick there? Right?
I mean, who shows the picture? Okay,
right. Architect or President of the United States.
I promise. I'm going to get to the actual meaning of this story in a second, but I've already been derailed once by myself.
Okay.
But who chose that picture for Rand Paul? Because online publications, particularly ours, if there's, or even like say Huffington Post, maybe post a picture of someone that you apparently are disagreeing with. You post like a picture where you make them look stupid because you want people's mindsets to click there. Why did his group put up a bad picture?
Because they think that's about it. Looks good. They think it looks good. That's about as cool as our man can look. He's got the Capitol behind him. He's got his Wayfarers on. He's got his little curly fro, and he's off to the races. But the vice president coming off the plane like that's different.
So Ray-Ban caught wind of it. We're going to get to the reality of this story. And the statement was, the Ray-Ban sunglasses, I'm sorry, this would happen on his site. The Ray-Ban sunglasses were for sale for $150 on Paul's website. $150 as recently as last Tuesday, but the website described the product as the intersection of politics and cool, as I pointed out. Ray-Ban's response, the company, we learned that the Rand Paul campaign had been selling Ray-Ban sunglasses imprinted with the Rand logo without our consent. After a formal request from us, they promptly removed the product from their site and agreed to cease any further use of our trademark.
The intersections of politics and law is what happened to Rand right there.
Yeah, so because basically what it seems like is, I mean, we were talking about this in the meeting the other day, and it's basically calling or assuming that Ray-Ban is endorsing Rand Paul to check out our limited edition of Rand Paul because we endorse this guy for president. And I could see how immediately, as soon as I heard this, I was like, does Ray-Ban know what's going on here? Because I wouldn't see any company that would want to completely and immediately endorse any candidate, especially this.
No, they wouldn't want it. That's what, that often happens with music. It happens with every time, Jimmy's sitting here. It's like, how do I get the Jimmy Dore off my Ray-Bans that I'm selling?
I'm selling Jimmy Dore's Hugo Boss jackets at my site. So that's weird. So if you want a Hugo Boss Jimmy Dore jacket, go to JimmyDoreComedy.com.
So we can't put up the 150 anymore to get those. But actually, this reminded me. You know, there was a billboard, I feel like in Times Square, but it was some bigger city, where
it
put President Obama in their jacket, and that's completely against the law. Because it was basically using the president's image to sell their particular bomber jacket or something like that. Right. It was some brown jacket. And so that was at least on the other side. That company wanted to show this kind of intersection with their politics in their company because there's a cool president, and that didn't work out.
Since then, you haven't heard from members only.
It was done. So maybe we can wrap it up with one more story. I didn't think we'd even.
All right, let's go.
This is pretty awesome. So we always hear about politicians talking about how Americans want to make the country better for their kids and plan ahead and make sure they leave a good nest egg for them. But we don't hear about how they may not have necessarily planned for themselves. Not the politicians, but the Americans. There was a study done called Preparing for Retirement in America. It was done by the Employee Benefit Research Institute. I applied there back in 2004, and they totally turned me down.
That's Emory.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Emory?
Everyone out of USC was trying to get in there. Emory, yeah. And also by the Greenwald and Associates Group. They found that 65% of workers have only 65% of workers have any savings for retirement, and that's a number that dropped from 75% just from 2009. So just your savings for retirement, your planning ahead, your ability to see if you're going to make it from the time you quit working to the time that you're not around anymore is kind of on shaky ground. Let's go to the first graphic of this. 28% of workers report that they've saved less than $1,000 for retirement, so they took a glance at their savings accounts at the moment that they were talking to them, and they're at $998 and below.
The most amazing part of this to me was where it said that if 20-year-olds today, because of inflation, were to live the same lifestyle. Do we have that as a slide?
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we're to live the same lifestyle.
Yeah.
They would have to have. It's not so bad. $20 million in the bank. So I'm sorry, $7 million. A 20-year-old would need $7 million in the bank in order to maintain their lifestyle. Now that's okay for someone like Jimmy Dore who's selling Hugo Boss jackets, but for most Americans,
let's see that in image. The president of the Marotta Wealth Management, David Marotta, he did point out. This is the number 18 you got.
You could say that it's in Charlottesville, Virginia, if you want.
I didn't even know that.
Well, it says it right there. What else is in Charlottesville, Virginia, J.R. Jackson?
Is it Virginia Tech on there?
Oh, come on. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Oh, my God.
UVA. And they actually had a good season in college basketball.
Thanks.
It was great.
All we care about.
It was really good. So anyway, let's bring it up one more time. I'm sorry. Someone retiring now, this was in 2014 when he made this statement, with $1 million at age 65 can safely withdraw $43,600 each year. So basically making $43,600 a year once you're older. However, because of inflation, today's 20-year-olds will need over $7 million to have that same lifestyle.
That's unbelievable.
That's probably in some city like,
Well, that means 20-year-olds are either living too large right now and don't need to maintain that lifestyle, or something is terribly broken.
First of all, everybody gets Social Security, right? So you get an extra $20,000 a year from Social Security at least, right? So you get. I think the average Social Security payment.
You have to have worked to have gotten Social Security, but that's the presumption.
Yeah, but they're talking about workers having to save. So I would think that. So you get like $1,200 a month. Right? Am I wrong about this?
If you're gonna,
what's 12 times? Anyway, I'm not good at math.
What do you say? $1,200 a month?
They're not counting. So they talk about this. Well, you can withdraw if you have $1 million in the bank. You can safely withdraw $43,000 a year. But then you're going to have a pension. You're going to have an IRA. You can have other shit. I don't understand. You're going to have Social Security. Don't they have a YouTube channel? Don't people have YouTube channels?
That's true. Some of these people have YouTube channels. But you also are going to still, most people who are in their 60s are still going to be paying back their student loans.
I don't understand. I mean, you really need $1 million to retire right now? I mean,
I was surprised by that.
I know $1 million. I know some people who say that's what I want to have $1 million when I retire. What the fuck are you going to do? What are you planning on doing now that your prostate is enlarged?
Well, people want to travel. People want to retire and not worry, which is what it used to be.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you want to not worry. That's the whole idea of retiring, is that you can put your worries behind you and sort of live out the rest of your years. Now, because of medicine and all those things and insurance, people are living longer. And so they're saying that it's going to cost more for a 65-year-old than it ever has, and also the cost of living and inflation provides those difficulties as well. So
that's what I was wondering. What's the age that they project this to, from 65 to 87? Right. What's the idea?
Well, there are actuarial tables. I don't know what we're all expected to live. But you must be getting close.
Right? I'm close.
Yeah.
My dad retired at 57. Right? He was a cop in Chicago. Retired at 57, and he's now 87. He's still alive, and he doesn't, he just doesn't work out. He doesn't eat right. He eats ice cream and shit. He doesn't drink. That's the only thing he never did. He didn't drink. So I don't know. Maybe that's why he's still alive. He's 87, so he's been retired longer than I've been a fucking comedian. It's amazing to me.
30 years so
He's been 30 years. He's been retired, getting a check, his pension, and he's got a condo in Florida. They got some small condo in a retirement fund. They have a condo in Chicago.
And police and municipal pensions were great then, and so that's kind of a different era of retirement too. But you make a great point. Is that people live longer now, and that's in this whole debate over Social Security, whether or not it needs to be debated at all, is also a debate. But in figuring it out, that raising the retirement age for solvency of the country, it also makes sense to let people. Who are living longer, work longer if they want to as well. Not that everybody does.
And I also wonder what the reality is of a lot of the pensions that people used to get. As you said, how definite that was. If people say, you had a 25-year-old police officer now who's working in the force for 30 years, depending on the city, depending on the solvency, how well are those going to sustain for him when he's 57 years old and looks to retire? He may not be there.
And he probably couldn't have worked past 57 either. Was it a mandatory retirement?
I think you could have. I don't think you can be. I think he had to retire for sure at 62. I think. But
a lot of those,
is the federal. You can't be an FBI after you're 57. And I think local at 62. But he retired because my grandpa retired at 62, died at 62 and a half.
Wow.
And my dad was not going to let that happen, right? He wanted to.
He put an exclamation point on that.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm not.
Now,
so he retired at 57. And,
yeah.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who are looking to retire at 50 years old. Like, I just had dinner with another cop friend of mine from Chicago who was out visiting, and he's going to retire next year when he's 51, right? And I have a friend who works for the Chicago Transit Authority. The bus is in Chicago, and he's going to retire when he's 52. So it's weird to me that it seems like I know of an actor who just retired at 55. You can retire in the Screen Actors Guild at 55. They'll give you a check. And you can still audition for work.
Vanilla Ice retired when he was 24. There are so many different experiences that different people have.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
I think we should end on that note. That's awesome. So actually, coming to the second hour, Jimmy, you're hanging on, am I right?
Yes, I am.
Jimmy's hanging around. I'm getting the hell out of here. Michael's running out of here. Instead, we're going to be replaced by Karama Brown and Brett Ehrlich.
Oh, fantastic.
I've heard of Brett Ehrlich.
I've heard of Brett.
He's going to come in and we're going to have some more fun. I'm not going to listen, but I'm going to have fun anyway.
Hey, come see me. I'm going to be in April next week, Thursday through Sunday. I'm going to be in Seattle at Laughs in Kirkland. So come check me out. Get tickets at jimmydorcomedy.com.
Is Laughs spelled Laffs?
I wish it was. It's regular LAUGH.
Any good stuff coming up on Al Jazeera?
Sure, yes. All the best foreign news coverage and that you can.
He's still.
By the way, Al Jazeera America beating MSNBC in the demo from noon to 2 o'clock.
Well, not regularly. It happens.
But it happens.
Yeah, it happens. So
that's not enough.
It strides. It's not enough. Well, it's sort of enough, but it's not enough.
It happens when sure.
That was an MSNBC joke. But,
okay.
Right. So whenever I'm on, that's what happens.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to realize it, but yeah, Shuzi is still the epic politics man. He still does his thing.
Yes.
I mean, our audience needs to know. Michael has not run away.
MSNBC's primetime viewership down 45%. Turns out,
amazing.
People, if you're going to watch a late night news personality, they have to have a little personality.
They're going to have to change that whole.
No personality. I forget. John Fugelsang makes a great joke about Chris Hayes. He goes, I don't want to watch Chris Hayes do the news. I want to cheat off his homework.
You know what, you guys? I'm sorry. We pushed this far enough, but I did forget to remember shout-outs because we forget these sometimes when Jake's here.
Nobody else forgets all these.
Remember 2021, Vidyaran Loganatha. I think I nailed it.
I think you got it.
Yeah. And number 2241, Brian Johnson. I think I got that.
Yeah, you nailed that one.
Big you've been members, of course, you can watch the show at any time, stream it, check out the post game, see all the craziness that we say there, and have good fun. You know what I'm saying? Because
I'll see you next hour.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Have fun, dude.
So,
I'm sorry.
Looks like you're out of luck. Attack again! I draw again! Another monster! This just isn't your day! Breaker! Attack him again! Let's see. Oh well.
Please, Pharaoh! No more!
Let me go!
You can stop now. It's over. You've already won the duel. The seal of Holy Cow.
Points left. Much time. Look what you've done to your guardian. It's been consumed by darkness.
Exactly, and it's more powerful than ever now. Nothing can stop it.
I have to disagree. Absurd! When Furry Bandit is sacrificed, I can draw 5 more cards. However, I'm only allowed to keep the magic and trap cards. My monsters go straight to the graveyard. I kept 2 and discarded 3.
Then the strength of the 3 monsters you discarded is added to my guardian. Iatos, raise your sword and drain his monster's power. You're about to become a 2-time loser, and this time you're gonna pay up with your soul. Iatos, attack now! Game over. Yugi! Say what?
Allow me to clear things up for you. A few moments ago, I sent 3 monsters to my graveyard, one of which saved me. That card was this. My electromagnetic turtle. When this monster was destroyed, it created an electromagnetic barrier, shielding my magician from your attack.
No way. He had that planned all along. The Pharaoh's gonna pay for mocking the power of my guardian Iatos. I had my turn. Just go.
As you wish. Now, I summon Big Shield Gardener in defense mode. Next, I'll switch my Dark Magician into defense mode. Then I'll place 1 card face down and end my turn.
It's over.
buddy. I hope you could have heard that music because we just got done having sex. My God, this is the second hour. Where's the towel? The towel? That's that thing when you get down, you'll just hear.
Let's be real, you swallow.
Oh, no. Let's meet everybody, huh? Jimmy Dore.
Hi, everybody. I'll see you in Seattle next Thursday through Sunday. I'm telling jokes at Laughs in Kirkland. See you there.
Awesome. Kirkland. I know people in Kirkland. I'll tell them to come out. Absolutely. And then Karamo Brown.
Hey, you? How you doing,
How
sir?
have you been?
Phenomenal. How are you?
Doing well. How can people catch you? What you up to?
HLN, Dr. Drew. Come to my website. Catch me out, KaramoBrown.com. I'm loving that jacket you have on, by the way.
I got it at Zara.
Yeah.
When I go into Zara, every time I go into Zara, I look around and go, this is the dumbest place. What's with that? That looks amazing. That, though, in the corner, next to the leather shirt, this thing looks amazing.
What is Zara?
Zara is a place mostly for ladies, I'd say.
And that's why you're there, you're saying.
But like in the corner, I'm like, oh wait till you're done. There's like 4 really stylish Asian men shopping, and then like uncomfortable boyfriends, and
one bargain hunter.
looking for badges. All right, I'm Brad Ehrlich. You can catch me on Pop Trigger on the Young Turks Network, also Viral Video Film School at youtube.com/viral videos. Also, I have a new very show called Photoshopping Bugs on your Instagram.
Wow. All right. Yeah. That's what a guy who shops at Zara.
That's his career.
I wish I didn't tell anyone that.
I got this. I got it. I got it. It's all.
Don't be ashamed.
Yeah, Zara's great.
One word. Nasty.
Where everyone.
What are you?
For the last time, what is that thing?
Okay. All right, let's get all the announcements out of the way at the beginning. There's a new app for the Young Turks, a new UIT app. If you have the old app, you don't need to punch yourself involved. But you can get the new one by hitting update. Just click on update, you'll get the new one. Let me go through everything that you can get with this new, the Young Turks application. You get the opportunity to create comments and engage with everyone on the Young Turks. There is a contest that you can enter in order to have your face and name distributed throughout the entire Young Turks empire. Go to download the app and go to the contest. Create a 15-second or less video response to any story that we cover each week, and then add the hashtag next. And if you win, you can be featured all the way across the app. It's pretty awesome. The app has video clips on demand, ability to comment, interact with everybody. You can create polls, which is a great opportunity to poll react. You can sacrifice every other monster I have. Only got and 20 Polish people.
The Orient outpost is clouding your mind!
Don't know who else.
I'm
Do you understand what you just done?
And my grandmother, actually, when I was up, she had her house moved across the back. I know exactly what I've done.
I've added 2,000 attack points to my guardian dread.
Yeah, and my grandmother, my grandfather tried to commit suicide, jumped out of the window.
Oh, you see that? Now Raphael's monster is
Are
stronger.
people really that? They do some things that are smart, I'll tell you that.
Everyone tells me about like submarines that they're creating with string guardians.
That is so dumb.
Guardian dread.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the fish out, but stupid. Yeah. So with the pull-off, we tell people to pull off. I can if I'm told right, but I don't think other people are supposed to. No. I'm learning so much. But I like this. There was a Pollock who just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Saturday I watched. His name is
Now we both draw from our decks until we're holding
you
6
should look it up.
Chicago, where I'm from, so that's why I like him.
Yeah, you can find even that out on
Fanfara is his name. Fanfara.
You got it. It came to you.
Fanfara.
Well, even a Pollock can use this app. You can just if you have the old one, just hit update. That's it. Let's get to it. Second hour. That's it. All right. This is an update on a previous story done, I'm told. Popeye's Chicken. Apparently, there was a woman named Marissa Holcomb. Let's see her stupid face. That's our first. Let's see. Chicken is out. Her name's Marissa Holcomb. She was fired by Popeye's Chicken because originally she was held at gunpoint and she gave up $400 from the till and was supposed to pay that back. Apparently that's company policy at this particular Popeye's franchise. But Popeye's has heard all of the flack, and Popeye's, according to the over-the-shoulder graphic, chickened out. There she is. Dumb idiot, fearing for her life, giving money over to somebody. According to Marissa Holcomb, when she was offered her job back, this woman was 5 months pregnant when she was fired, by the way. Way to go. Real good image campaign there, Popeye. Damn it. According to her manager, he just apologized and pretty much offered me if I wanted to go back to his business and work there again. Her response to that was, I do need a way to support my kids. I don't want to go back to a business where I'm treated the same and I just get pushed back out if something else happened. Yeah, so they gave her job back. Now, we need to clarify something here, is that this is an independently owned franchise. Yeah. So this isn't I assume Popeye, the cartoon character who owns this. Right. It's not him. It's not him? No. Well, apparently the franchisee. It's more like Brutus. Brutus owns the franchise. And the CEO caught wind of it and made a statement. We recently became aware of a story in Houston involving a Popeye's restaurant and an employee. The restaurant is operated by an independent franchisee of the Popeye's brand. We have spoken to the local franchise owner of the restaurant, and he has taken immediate action to reach out to the employee and apologize and rectify the situation. While the facts are gathered, we will closely monitor this until it is appropriately resolved. We deeply regret the distress the situation has caused, and then added, yeah, so this is the right thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. We talked about it yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I mean, they were wrong for firing her. My only concern is I'm hoping that she doesn't get greedy and then all of a sudden say she wants more because of the public opinion right now, and they're sort of flacking, saying, hey. Because I was trying to find a law or something that she could go to court with. I couldn't find one specifically that she could fight this case with. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But I'm just like, take your job back. You have 4 kids. Yeah. Like, just, take the $2,000 they're giving you and, go for it.
Back pay.
Yeah, and back pay. Yeah, and go for it.
I don't know what the hell was in people's minds. Like, what was this guy? How do you get to be a manager of anything? How can you walk and chew gum at the same time and not know that it's going to come back to bite you in the ass if you fire someone who's 5 months pregnant because they gave money to someone who pointed a gun at them while they were working for you? It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
That is insane. So now the next time someone comes in and points a gun at them, they're not going to want to give the money away because they're going to have to lose their job or pay it back, and somebody's going to get shot.
Yeah.
So it's just the craziest thing. One other point I want to make, and I don't want to come down on this woman at all.
Okay.
Because I feel like you're about to. I want to give her some advice.
Okay, good. Yeah, good.
Because she's working, she's pregnant, 5 months pregnant with her 4th kid. She already has 3 kids. She already has 3 kids, and she's working at a fast food place. Maybe the next time you get pregnant, choose a richer guy. Choose a richer That's actual intelligence. This is America. I was always, and I grew up very poor, 12 brothers and sisters. Wow. I had literally impossible. I didn't have my own shoes till I was in 8th grade, stuff like that, right? I had to hand-me-downs, and did your family do like a 3-legged thing where like it was each on the side had their own shoe and 2 people in the middle had to share? That's how you did that. No. Yes. Well, yeah. So I'm not. I know what it's like to be poor. I don't try not to demonize poor people, but I know when I first became a comedian and I started working in Las Vegas, and there'd be these beautiful waitresses there, and then you talk to them, you get to know them because you're there every night working, and they're like, "Oh, who's your boyfriend?" "Oh, my boyfriend's the bartender who works over at the Circus," or "My brother's the Bart Coca." I'm like, all the fucking millionaires who come in here, you're half naked serving them alcohol, and you got fucking the bartender? Are you kidding me? You can't find a guy with $1 million who you like? Yeah, and we're not saying date him, just get pregnant. That's the advice. Listen, he's out of town. Right after that, just so you can go back to begging your poor fella who's good in bed, but you'll have the dough from the... No, you know what I'm saying. Live on that. You know what's almost... Is that wrong of me to say that? No, not at all. I'm serious. That is wrong. I would say that is wrong of you to say that, but I don't think anyone disagrees with you that that's a really good point. Okay. Yeah. I just said giving her advice. You're saying that America... No, if that's wrong, America's wrong. Thank you.
Because that is a central tenet.
Okay.
If you have the originalist intent constitution approach, then that means you believe that people should marry rich for money and not love. Because I'm fine with that.
Well, if you're having a fourth kid, the first three were for love. Maybe the fourth one.
Right. Fourth one.
Where were you? Because you have 12 siblings.
Yeah.
Are you number 4?
I was number 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So not a lot of smart fucking.
That's what it said by the door.
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the door resident. Not a lot of smart fucking. Good to know. Good to know. This is amazing. Yeah, so I think we've covered every base again there. The reason they had so much money on hand was because they were running a $1.19 special on two
pieces of chicken, so they had extra money in the till. So the guy was mad at her because he told her before, you can't keep that much money in the till, because if you get robbed, they're going to take too much money.
She's like, well, we're selling so much chicken.
Another face she made.
Did you see her stupid face in the graphic earlier? Stupid person. Stupid mortal. Terrified. Yeah.
So I feel. I mean, it's crazy how people treat. And, I guess everyone gets treated poorly in the workforce at some point, but to treat a minimum wage worker like that is just unbelievable.
I love that story. Yeah. All right, let's move on to another one. The Saudi prince who offered Bentleys to bombers. That's right. There's a princess in Saudi Arabia. There are many princes in Saudi Arabia. This one is Prince Al-Walid bin Talal. He is in trouble in the public eye, but he's fine in general because he's so gosh dang rich. He is offering Bentleys to people who were involved in the first phase of bombing the Yemenis. All the fighter pilots, let's go to this graphic. It says, in appreciation of the fighter pilots' role in their operation in which the Saudi Arabians bombed the Yemenis, I am honored to offer 100 Bentley cars to the Saudi fighter pilots. This is amazing. That is his way of showing appreciation, as if being a fighter pilot isn't badass enough.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, ooh, goose, or whatever, Maverick.
This is a little, so it's a little stomach turning for a few reasons. One, the richest country in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, is bombing one of the poorest countries in the Middle East and blowing them to smithereens and blowing up hospitals and blowing up where people live. And then as a reward for fucking bombing the poorest people in the region, we're going to give you the most ostentatious show of wealth you could possibly have.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, and the people make in Yemen, the point they're making is, why wouldn't you give us some money to rebuild our hospital?
Right. Here's a graphic that we have from Fadi Al-Qadi. I don't want to laugh right now, but that's an amazingly awesome name. Al-Walid Talal of Saudi will gift 100 Bentley cars to 100 pilots who bombed Yemen. Not single ambulance to its hospitals they devastated. There's another one we have from Amar Al-Awlaki. Prince Al-Walid gave 100 Bentleys to Saudi pilots. I got my apartment blown up. But he ends it on a higher note. Yet I bet my spirits are higher than all those pilots.
I would not take that bet.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bentleys are awesome.
Yeah.
It's
insensitive. It's just absurd. This kid is entitled. He's an ass. I mean, to offer Bentleys when these poor innocent civilians who were there and getting bombed, losing their homes, losing family members, and then you're going to offer Bentleys?
But isn't this what Oprah did to the Desert Storm troops? You get a car and you get a car. Wasn't that what it was?
No,
what?
Not so much.
That was just ladies in the audience. That was just ladies.
That was just regular people.
But they had not. You telling me not one person in an Oprah audience has killed somebody?
I'm not telling you that.
But yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is a big, lavish thing to do.
Yeah, I've said this before on the show, and it bears repeating. I think that we all hate terrorism, right? Because that violence, it scares us. Well, they're terror. They don't bomb you on a battlefield. They bomb you in your home, and they bomb you at the mall, and they bomb. But so we hate that. We hate violence of the weak, because that's what terrorists. They don't have armies. They don't have countries. Terrorists, they have to do terrorism because that's the violence of the weak. But Saudi Arabia, with all the money in the world, sends fighter jets over to bomb the shit out of poor people. That's violence of the powerful, and we glorify it. So terrorism, violence of the weak, no good. War, violence of the powerful, and we love it.
Right. This just implies. Yeah, this implies that that's absolutely awesome.
Yes,
There's
awesome.
a difference, I think, in being grateful. Like in America, when you see soldiers walking around, people are like, "Thank you for your service. Good job."
Yeah.
That's for being a soldier, and I think people do that in response for like the amount of sacrifice it takes, regardless of whether for me, if I do that, it's regardless of whether I agree on the war effort or not, like why we're there. I still be like, man, that takes some balls to just go over there and do that. Aside from all kinds of politics, just like the kind of person they are is one who is willing to make a larger sacrifice than the kind of person I am. That is just a holistic approach to soldierdom. This is a specific approach to an act of violence.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, you did that, and because of that, now maybe it's super honest. Maybe this guy's just being honest. He's like, listen, I don't want to lose to the terrorists. So what am I going to do? Be like scared and lie and say that I don't appreciate the fact that you're going and blowing these people up? I guess the devil's advocate is saying, you know what? At least he's being honest and saying, you did the dirty work. You deserve a Bentley. No, it's not as cool as a fighter jet at all. It's a weird thing. This is not the first time that this prince has gone over the top and been the person who's given some lavish gift giving. Last year, according to this awesome graphic, the prince, who's renowned for his lavish lifestyle and ostentatious gift giving, offered a local football team 25 cars after they won the Saudi championship. A move that touched off a debate in Saudi about who should be offered gifts and who shouldn't.
No, that's a little different.
It's different.
That's okay.
Yeah, you're figuratively killing somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. You're figuratively blowing them up
to smithereens.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing. You're not rewarding them for killing other poor people. You're rewarding them for being an entertainer.
Yeah,
which is okay, I think.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes,
you're killing it out there. That's different. You're not killing them. You're not killing Yemenis.
Yes, killing it is okay.
Yeah, killing it. So this is just something that I thought was pretty interesting. So I think that's the end of that story. Anything else we want to say before we move on? No. All right, good. Here's another thing. Keeping it real. Let's just keep it real. Feel good about that?
Yeah.
So let's go to The Real, right? There's a talk show called The Real on Fox, and they came under fire recently when they banished 2 women from the front row who were wearing hijabs. The women say that in February, while they were waiting to be seated in the audience for The Real, when a studio worker told them that their hijabs prevented them from sitting in the front row due to studio policy on The Real. So essentially everybody was getting ready. Everyone was really excited. You ever been in line to go sit? I mean, you performed on things, but to be in line to go see a show.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, I get to see The Real.
Yeah.
I was just on, the boardwalk in Venice, and some guy who I was scared of because he was running up to me with a flyer. It turned into be an awesome flyer to come see The Real. Well, they were about to be seated, and then they were banished because they wouldn't take off their hijabs. Let's go to the second graphic. There is a response here that says Warner Brothers has no legal justification for removing the hijab-wearing women from the camera's view. No studio should maintain such a discriminatory policy that prohibits people from wearing religious head coverings from being seen in its studio audiences. This is from the senior civil rights attorney at CAIR.
Well, Warner Brothers, this wasn't their policy. This was the policy of some jerk who's an asshole and decided that he was going to make some moral judgment and say, you can't sit here because I don't like you. I don't like your religion. Because clearly it's foolish that you would tell these women that they cannot sit here because of their headgear and because of their religion, ultimately. Give me a break.
Well, I wonder how that's described.
And on a show that is all about diversity.
Yeah, that's right. Literally, it's just like they get everybody together and they just say, let's talk about it. It's daytime television.
Television.
Anyone who it's just daytime TV. Let's not freak out about this.
Yeah.
Let's not make our statements about it's terrible.
So it's not as black and white, I think, as it appears, right? Because I know when I do for instance, when I shot my special, I remember the director, I was in the control room, they're like, hey, we got to get some new people in the front row. And I wasn't paying, I was kind of half paying attention, and I'm like, and it turns out there were some people who looked too old in the front row, and they replaced them with young, good-looking people.
Yeah.
In the front row, right? Because that's what's going to be on the camera, and so they wanted to, and they're casting a television show.
But that's still wrong.
So I think that's okay. You're casting a television show. You get to put, so even though they're in the audience, they're technically still part of a television show, and you get to cast it. You get to have it look like you want.
But that's like if they say one day we don't want black guys up front or we don't want older white guys up front. Like
that's a good point.
That's discrimination.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. Well, let's say if there were two nuns in there and they had the headgear on that the nuns wear, right? And they were like, hey, we can't fucking.
Well, clearly we don't want nuns.
Here's the thing. Well, my first reaction.
Would they say that to nuns?
I just want to be open, and I may be a terrible person, because that's possible. But I do want to say what my first reaction to what you said was. What you were shooting was a special.
Yeah.
And so the special is a special.
Yeah, it's one to live forever, it's one thing.
Yes. And so when it comes to all that stuff and you do the different angles and whatnot, and I'm sure they're gonna take specials on each individual person when they're laughing on Jimmy something. And they cut that in. That's one special. The talk shoots every day.
Yeah.
Or the real shoots.
The real
shoots every day. The talk, all those things. So I think one day, and on any given day, if it's two women with jobs, honestly, if I'm a shitty television producer, I want to put them in the front row and see, everybody comes to our show. Why would you not want that to happen?
You would think.
Yeah,
you would think. I was just trying to give a different point of view that people are casting. So maybe they weren't being, I don't know, racist or had nefarious. They just were trying to stage a TV show.
Yeah. I can tell you that I can't watch The Real as much as I wanted to try. Just because I'm like, oh, there's, some women of color who have their own show. Let's give them some support. But I don't know what producer they have or what studio exec, but they turn themselves into caricatures of themselves, and they do a lot of things that are ignorant, that even themselves, even this article when we show
the
Cinco de Mayo, they're dressing up as Mexicans. I've seen other ones where they come out and they're acting like ratchet black women, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Don't allow someone to make you do that to yourself. And so it didn't surprise me that this happened on that show. It's just wrong.
Yeah, it might be. And I've worked on shows where it's you just all come up with an idea, then you look at each other and go are we just shitty?
Exactly.
Because we've all agree, and then you'll do something, and then you'll come back and it'll be either we're terrible, or we thought we knew what we were doing. We thought we had a good rhetorical stance here, but we didn't tell anyone that, and the idea changed, and the edit, those jokes didn't work. So all that's left is that might be just really insensitive.
But you're in comedy, so that might happen. But these women are just
a lot of them are in comedy.
One of them.
One of them's in comedy.
One of them.
So when Fox News tries to tackle a multicultural show, it turns out most of it's going to be ignorant.
It's daytime Fox, isn't it? It's Fox Network, isn't it? It's daytime Fox, middle of the day stuff. So it's syndicated all around the world. But that is the danger, though, saying one person's in comedy. You ever work with there's people in comedy, and then there's people who want to be fun.
Yeah.
The people who are good at being funny, and then the people who want to be fun. Wouldn't this be fun if we all put on sombreros and mustaches? Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be zany?
Yeah.
Those people aren't funny, and it's up to the comedic side to say
to say that don't do that, or the Latina on the panel to say maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. So that's funny at a corporate video funny. Right? That's not actually funny to real people who don't know you. That's only funny. Oh, look, the boss is dressed up playing a sombrero. Isn't that funny? No, it's not. It's only funny because it's the stupid boss. That's the only reason. And you get to laugh at him. That's all.
All right, let's look. I have this application thing here. TYT Live. Let's look at some of these things. Let's see. Getting a Bentley sure beats the handshake and good luck with your PTSD that we give our own combat vets.
Wow.
That's a really good point, Moose Jockey. Ex-Moose Jockey, sorry, Chris Bradshaw.
Thanks for bringing me down.
Yeah, cool. Let's just put on some sombreros to lighten ourselves. The big doc says they have insurance that protects them against robberies. They're fucking assholes. That's about the
Oh, yes, they do have insurance.
Yeah. Gosh, that's terrible. That's tough though. Franchising out, you never know who you're going to work for when you join like a franchise like that. Rob, I can't believe a corporation would ever say anything but give it to them, no questions, no hesitation. I don't know what that means, but that sounds about right.
Sounds powerful.
Yeah, powerful. Okay. Oh yeah, the purpose. Oh, here's Travis Dodge writes in. The purpose of minimum wage workers is so you can treat them like shit. Duh. Which I think he's being sarcastic.
I'm not sure. I think it actually is true.
No, clearly, obviously, speaking earnestly, Travis Dodge hates low-income workers. No. All right, let's move on. This is a great story.
This is a great story.
Awesome. This might be the best story
ever
since the last story. In China, there are strippers, not just in China, but at funerals. The Chinese government is trying to crack down on strippers at funerals, which just sounds like a mistranslated, like, English sign. No strippers at funerals. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. So the China Ministry of Culture has pledged a crackdown on the practice of strippers at funerals. Here is a nice little graphic that really sums up what's going on. Here's a photo. Strip soft, strip hot, strip X sex toy, or strip multiplied by sex toy. So if strip is $40 and strip times sex toy is $60, how much? Solve for sex toy.
Top for X.
Photo topless is just 5. It says euro, but I wonder if that's yuan. Photo new integral. There's no way that's from China because of the euro and integral. Either way, but this is what it might look like if there was a stripper at a funeral.
Those are nice shoes.
Those are amazing. Let's go and we'll read this. From time to time, strip teases and other illegal performances, because apparently these are illegal, have occurred in the countryside, the statement said, adding that authorities will, quote, promptly investigate and punish businesses and individuals involved in the risque shows. They're typically organized, according to these folks, to draw a larger audience.
Yeah.
So they think that the bigger the audience that you get for someone's funeral, the more people that show up, the more help they will have in the afterlife. So that's why they're doing this. Yeah. They're hiring strippers because otherwise no one will come to their funeral. So they have, and there's kids. And they're,
yes. That's like the big problem. There's children out there, like,
at a funeral.
Not just kids. There's kids whose relatives have just
died. Yeah.
And now you're going to have a stripper jamming a dildo in her for 60 whatever. That is.
Do you know what I hear that they're for? These, I can't even say with straight face. They're there to raise the dead penises. To raise the dead penises. So let's see what else we have.
You know, actually, my uncle died while having sex.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember the Undertaker was like, well, I could saw that boner off, but we're going to have a hell of a time wiping that smile off his face.
Okay. Good to know. All right. He literally did die doing that.
Yeah, I had another. They actually he froze to death too. Really? And in his coffin, it just looked like, because it was an Irish funeral, and it just looked like somebody passed out early. Because there's a lot of drinking at Irish wakes. I'm up at the coffin. They're like, I think this half is dead. I'm like, no, you just gotta pump it. Anyway, the point is. It's a long way to go with that joke.
No, it's fine. The two strippers. Here's another graphic. Let's just read it. 2 strippers wearing revealing clothes danced on stage at a public square in our village at night on February 15th. That was the graphic. An eyewitness surnamed Zhang told the state-run Global Times newspaper earlier this month. They first danced passionately and then took off their clothes piece by piece. Behind them, an electronic sign was displaying a picture of the deceased with elegiac couplets on either side. Here's a picture.
That is unbelievable.
What got me was I found out that they do this in Taiwan. a lot as well.
Really?
This is not just China.
This is
No
matter which side of the two China policy you fall on.
Exactly. You're going to have.
It's insane. I am not making this up. You want to know one of the places where this happens?
Yes.
Donghai. A little deal right there. Donghai, it says. And then here's another thing. Pole bearer. This is great. That's a great graphic. Some people went to bat for this, saying the point of inviting strippers, some of whom performed with snakes, was to attract large crowds to the deceased funeral, seen as a harbinger of good fortune in the afterlife. It's to give them face, one villager explained. Otherwise, no one would come. CCTV found a dozen funeral performance troupes offering such services in every village in the county, Donghai, putting on as many as 20 shows a month at the rate of 2,000 ren, or $322 a pop. Wow. That is insane. And pop, I think, is short for Papa Boner. It's insane. One more thing I'll say is this has severely polluted the local cultural life, CCTV intoned at the time, marveling at the sight of one woman gyrating out of her clothes, mere steps from a photo of the deceased. These troops only care about money. As for whether it's legal or proper, or what effect it has on local customs, they don't think much about it. How about at a child's funeral? Do you get young strippers?
That's just horrible.
That's food for thought. That is food
That
for
is
thought.
horrible.
Do you think we should do this in America?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
No. Well, if you know what, if you as a deceased want someone, a stripper, at your funeral, go for it. Go for it. Why not? As long as there's no kids around and it's in, somewhere private, and your family says they're okay with it, respecting your wishes, why not? But no.
Yeah, there are so many other ways to get someone to a funeral. So, the fact that they were like, what should we do? That's pretty obvious. Strippers. Not like, about a nice spread.
Yeah.
Nice deli.
Well, clearly there's some sexual liberation that's happening here. People are feeling a little suppressed, and they're like, let's get strippers. This is our way to do what we weren't able to do. You can't, take away my last wish as a dead man. There's something going on there.
Yeah, definitely. I have questions about it. Can we go back to the HR 212? Do we have that graphic? I was wondering how this is physically possible, but there are photos of what it looks like at these places where folks mourn. I don't know if we can get it, but essentially everyone has their own little area to sit and mourn. So then it was like, what? Oh, now I get it. These are probably like different tombstones, but the way that tombstones are set up, if this is the place, like you could pretty much hide whether you're popping a bony.
I don't know what that is.
I hope that, weird. Yeah, but maybe it's in a funeral home.
That looks like kind of like a bunch of graves, right?
That's graves. I don't know. If
that can't be.
Small okay, good. I hope
that's not where they're doing it.
But if that is it, that makes total sense. It's like a peep show.
You think they'd have to do it outside? Yeah, they'd have to do it inside the stripping, right?
Okay, yeah, especially when they're saying, but like the snakes, what does it take? Okay, we're going to do a break. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
We're going to take a little break after that so everyone can, relieve some of the tension. Don't go away.
I want my funeral to come with a release. That's what I
Stick around. Everybody, welcome back to A Bunch of Stuff on the Desk. We just have so much shit on the desk right now. Yeah, if you guys saw the graphic playing in the break, live at the museum tomorrow in DC. For anyone that's in DC, I won't be there, so you should probably go. All right, let's move on to our next story, unless you have to send a text or something.
No, I don't have anything to do.
Okay, good. A baggage man fell asleep in a cargo hold on an Alaska Airlines flight and woke up after they'd taken off. Essentially, this guy, here is our, let's go to the graphic. At some point in the process of loading baggages, this employee said, on an LA, here's the guy right here. He was just having a normal day at work. Lifting bags is hard. And shortly, he said, at some point in the process of loading baggage on a Los Angeles-bound Alaska Airlines flight out of Seattle, Junior, his name is, fell asleep. Quote, in the cargo, I was exhausted, so I dozed off. It looks like he was dozing off as he was saying that. And then here's how he woke up. There's a lot of different ways to wake up. Shortly after takeoff, he was awoken by a suitcase, wait for it, falling on his head. And that apparently may not prevent sexually transmitted diseases. So that's amazing. This guy was at work, decided to take a nap. That's something I do pretty much every day. But I don't work inside an airplane. And so he decided he was going to fall asleep in a cargo hold. I've been in a cargo hold, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I was just, tired. In Seattle, actually in Seattle, I helped load an airplane just through, connections. Just wanted to see what it was like. And, it's amazing. It's just this little cubby that you just kind of do want to fall asleep in. Yeah. It's under, but he actually did fall asleep in. Now, you have that instinct that you do want to fall asleep in there. But a normal person would say, but what if they close this? And he takes off. So what happened was this guy wakes up in the middle of after it hits him on the head. And the way he recounts the situation is it's super tragic. Like, he's like, first I started by trying to call the ground control. And the ground control thought it was a prank. So they hung up on him. Then he calls 911 and all he's able to say is, I'm stuck in an airplane. And then it cuts out. So what does he do? He starts banging because below your seat is, the cargo hold is the other part of that. He starts banging and scares the crap out of everyone on the plane. They alert the crew, then they go and they land. And he called his mom because he's like, I just wanted to call and say goodbye. He texted his mom, goodbye. Yeah, that's so terrifying.
You said any normal person wouldn't fall asleep, and clearly he's not, because he said that the only thing he learned from this is don't doze off in planes. Not to have a better work ethic, not to maybe get some rest at night before you go to work the next day. It's just don't doze off.
This guy's
on planes.
So he's like, next time he rides like in a seat on a plane, he's still not
going to be awake.
That's like the logic at work in his brain.
I also take naps at work, but there is a very slim chance of this studio taking off. So
this show, I don't think will ever take off.
So one time,
especially not with me in this chair.
I did fall asleep one time at work when I was doing construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was young, of course, you're young in early 20s, you're a partier. I was a partier. I used to drink gin all the time. This is before I smoked pot. Mm-hmm. And I used to drink gin and smoke cigarettes and stay out till 5 in the morning because it was Chicago. You could stay out till 5 in the morning. The bars are open. And I would get up to do construction at 7.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, that is not a lot of time.
Yeah. So a lot of times I would just change my clothes and go to work drunk. And I was holding the ladder, right? So my dad was working on a chimney or something, and I had to hold the ladder so it didn't. And I fell asleep standing up.
Wow! Did you
standing
fall?
up? So here's what happens: so I'm holding the ladder, and then my arms fall through the ladder, and my head hits the rung, and I wake up. So I was still there. I didn't let go of the ladder. Technically, my feet were on it, And I went boom. Oh, fuck! I fell asleep standing up. I didn't know that was possible. What am I, a horse? That was a horse.
Rum, have you had any weird experiences at work where you either dozed off or something like dangerous
Of course not. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I am super professional.
I
I am always awake. I am always on it. Always prepared. Are you kidding me?
So good. Good for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I fell asleep one time. I got hired to do warm up for Larry something show. He had a daytime talk show. Anyway, so they hired me to do warm up, just like fill in. And I don't know, I got there and I go to the office of the executive producer and I'm supposed to wait for her. And so I was on the couch. The next thing I know, I'm asleep on the couch. And she comes walking in and she's like, I go, huh? Oh yeah, I'm here to do warm up. I was sleeping.
That's great. That's like the producer of that show being like, our warm up act is asleep.
Yeah, like.
He's gonna come and warm everybody up.
Hey, everybody.
I do want to say this though, because I thought I was reading online just to see if this happens more often, and apparently it does.
Really?
And I saw that, I'm just going to read something. It said that this is the way that gate crews maintain discipline, because if they're tired of an employee that's being lazy, not doing what he needs to do, they wait for him to do whatever behavior and then close him in. Because for him to fall asleep, someone had to see him on the edge and close him in.
Yeah.
And they said that they do this all the time just to let people know, don't be lazy, don't handle people's bags bad, because, if you are lazy, then I have to do more work. And I was like, wow, how interesting.
That's
terrible. Him up.
So if they did that in construction, they'd wait till the crane falls on someone's head.
Exactly.
And like,
It's true.
Shouldn't have had a crane fall on your head. All right, let's move on. This is a great story. Groupon. Everyone knows Groupon, or at least heard about it when it was worth $17 billion. Maybe not so much anymore. But Groupon in Australia has just admitted that they accidentally sold fake Durex condoms to people. And so these condoms that they sold may well have holes in them. They said, according to the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, which is a watchdog group, they said these condoms may not prevent pregnancy or protect users from sexually transmitted diseases. So you lost all that sensation for nothing. Also, these condoms were sold between March 12th and April 10th of this year, and this is just coming out now. It's still close to April 10th, but as far back as March 12th, some people who are sexually attractive may have had sex between then and now. And so they may have, become infected with terrible diseases.
Don't borrow a condom from your buddy if he got it off of Groupon. I think that's the lesson here for everyone.
That's the thing. It's like,
don't do it.
Yeah, who needs a discount on
condom? Seriously.
Who's fucking that much? Right? What are you, Wilt Chamberlain? Are you kidding me?
But it's like, it's like cheap sushi.
Yeah.
It's like,
You don't get the sushi at 7-Eleven?
I actually do. I don't. I used to go to this place called Fatfish before it closed down. It was $2 sushi conveyor belt. Everything. And it was so good.
That's so gross.
I had no idea. Whoever's doing these is on point today.
Yeah.
Getting shafted.
Oh,
For those of you not aware, penises they have a shaft.
Penises also.
True. It's a true fact about penises. This is something I don't know if I need to buy this on Groupon.
You would.
The thing is, though, buying condoms in person, now I don't care. Now it's actually a challenge to, buy condoms and, maple syrup and go up to the person and be like, I'd like these two things at the same time. But back when I was a kid, to have, the ability, when I was first becoming sexually active, 29, 30, you get embarrassed to go up there. So Groupon might be, a nice little way to get around that, but apparently not.
They passed them out in my school.
Really?
Yeah, growing up. They didn't pass them out. They weren't like everyone go have sex, but they had it in the nurse's office that you didn't have to. Really? You could just go in, grab what you wanted. And we grabbed tons of them. Yeah. I had a backpack full that I never used just because I wanted to grab some to let everyone think that I was having sex.
Yeah, because you need 10 tonight.
Yeah, I need 10.
No, you don't. You need one. Maybe two. I guess when you're young, you just go a bunch of times, so it takes me forever to get ready again. Thanks for listening. That was a quick story. We don't need to spend a lot of time on that.
No.
There's only so much you can talk about.
Right. But you know what's going to happen is now someone's going to get pregnant, and then they're going to have a lawsuit. How much does it cost to raise a kid nowadays? I don't know, $1 billion fucking dollars.
But how can you prove that? Like, I'm just wondering.
You say I had sex, my wife is pregnant, we use condoms, she got pregnant, you can tell how long she's been pregnant, she got pregnant then, here's my receipt for my Groupon condom.
Mm-hmm. Here's the used condom.
Yeah. Let's go in front of, I'm sure they'll settle before they go to court.
Yeah, they might.
That's the thing is, this was in Australia, so who knows? Maybe that company doesn't have crazy lawsuits.
But it's Groupon. So you would sue Groupon, you wouldn't sue that company.
In that country, maybe in Australia they have different rules.
Oh, I'm sure they do have different rules, eh?
Yeah, I met someone from Turkey who was like, "Oh, you got a lot of weird lawsuits here." And then she said, like, they had a gondola system where she is. We went, we were like on a merry-go-round or Ferris wheel. And she was like, "Why are there so many warnings? Of course, if you fall out of a Ferris wheel, you're gonna die." She's like, "In Turkey, we have a gondola system where people literally just, if they can't pay, they grab the outside of it and hang on." And I'm like, "What if you fall off? Why did they let them do that? If they fall off, they die. Who cares? It's your fault. You shouldn't have done that." Not so in America. All right.
People still they still have streetcars in San Francisco. You jump on and you're kind of standing on the outside of them as they ride. So that's kind of
Is that legal still?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Great.
I was just in San Francisco. We did the big TYT show.
That's the thing for me. I don't believe that people can still do that. I'm already into that system. I believe in that system where you can get sued for anything. Just don't do anything. Also, just another fact is Groupon is only worth 25% of what it was.
Really?
2011. It was originally valued at $17 billion, and now it's worth a quarter of that, just because there's so many other Groupon type companies.
And this is going to put the nail in that coffin because, come on.
So it's not worth $3 or $4 billion?
Yes,
that's still pretty big.
Yeah.
That's almost as big as us.
Yeah,
TYT.
All right, let's move on. Police save a man from a suicide by using a pizza delivery robot. Who is he? What is he? Where does he come from? RoboCop delivers pizza. So there was this guy, and he was threatening to jump off of a freeway overpass, and the police were like, "Don't do that." Robot. Apparently, that's the way they were thinking. Let's go to the graphic. It says, after hours of waiting for the knife-wielding man who threatened suicide to turn himself over to police, they sent in a robot holding a pizza and a phone. In order to convince the man not to jump. Just quick. It's hard to say. You put yourself in the mind of a suicidal person. But let's say you were there and you saw a robot coming to you. What would you think?
I would jump. If I'm having suicidal ideations and I want to end my life, there's no way a robot with a pizza is going to soothe my soul. That's going to be the last thing that I want to see.
Yeah,
just personally.
Send a dinosaur like those. I'm afraid of robots.
Yeah.
First of all, who is the hostage or who's the negotiator here? Is it Chris Christie?
I know. Send them a pizza.
They'll fucking kill themselves when they're eating pizza.
They're like, we just want to make sure he's not just hangry. So they sent the pizza in with a bomb robot. There's a pizza robot. It's the Northrop Grumman Remotech Andros F6A. The robot carried a pizza and a phone connected to the police department. In order for the man to get the pizza, he had to pick up the phone, which is crazy. It's like, you got to talk to me. In order to talk to us, we got the pizza. Here's another quote. Because delivering food is a way of encouraging someone to do something we want them to do, we sent pizza with the phone. We instructed the subject that if he wanted the pizza released, to pick up the phone. The robot was holding the pizza. It released the pizza once the subject picked up the phone to talk to negotiators.
I've heard of using food to get sex or to get something, but to stop a suicide, I've never heard this before in my life.
There must be some pizza. The guy was just like, you know what? If this is out there. That's insane.
No kidding.
How do you negotiate with someone who's suicidal?
That must have been deep dish, right? There must have been a lot going on. That's right. So how do you negotiate with someone who's suicidal? I don't know. You tell them it's just I have drugs and pizza. I guess
that's crazy. Apparently, like the watching a robot come towards you, it's somehow less threatening than a person coming at you. You're probably afraid that.
I would think a robot would be more threatening. Maybe it's just because we're in our sane mind. But if I saw a cop coming out and think, okay, at least I can tell you to stop. But a robot has no control and it's going to charge me, and then
it wasn't even a cute robot. It's like a scary robot. It wasn't like R2D2. You know,
I don't have a graphic, a picture of the robot.
I saw one in the story that we read.
It looked like a 1980s computer with like wires hanging out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wasn't
okay.
So crazy.
I'm glad that guy's alive and he's got a full belly.
Yeah, definitely. And we have one last story. Let's just get to it.
Okay.
We got 2 minutes left in the broadcast. Exercise, for all you fat asses out there, I don't know. I'm sorry I said it like that. For everyone who's battling obesity, here's the thing. Apparently exercise is not the key to getting that weight off. According to this recent study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine, they said that while activity was a key part of staving off diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and dementia, its impact on obesity was minimal. Instead, excess sugar and carbohydrates were key. They go on to say, an obese person does not need to do one iota of exercise to lose weight. They just need to eat less. My biggest concern is that the messaging that is coming to the public suggests that you can eat what you want as long as you exercise. That is unscientific and wrong. You cannot outrun a bad diet. What do we think?
Don't we already know this? Like,
so
it's the food you're putting in your mouth and your mental state. No. So I'm not surprised by this. So I'm surprised that it took an article to tell people who are obese, and I've never been obese, so I want to be sensitive what their experience is. But I mean, most obese people I know can't even move to exercise, and now we had to tell them, well, what you were doing or couldn't do wasn't working anyway. So stop eating, and change your mindset.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell people. It's one of those, you know, it's the carbs, right? So everybody knows it's carbs and sugar, and fat doesn't make you fat. That's why I use, you know, people always ask me, Jimmy, how do you make such a good scrambled egg? Why are scrambled eggs so good? How do they get so fluffy?
How do you do that?
They're pillowy, soft mounds of goodness. 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 egg, 10 tablespoons. So every egg I use a tablespoon of butter.
Really?
Yeah. And do it, I'm telling you, and you go high heat, really fast. The opposite of what they tell you. I don't know how. Really? Yeah. So they always tell you slow and low for scrambled eggs. Watch, if you watch, Julia Child has a YouTube video, and she goes high and fast with a nonstick, a lot of butter, and that's how I do it. Fantastic. I don't know why we're talking about this. Oh, because of obesity.
No, they said method might kill you.
No, you're right. They say that when it comes down to, there's a lot of people who are like drinking butter, putting butter in their coffee.
I put butter in coffee sometimes. If I'm out of cream, you put butter. It's not bad, but they found out. Look at me. I eat butter like that every day.
You look good.
And I'm thinner than I used to be fat. I was over 200 pounds when I moved to Los Angeles.
Wow.
And that was because I was eating a lot of pasta. Right?
Yeah.
I was dating an Italian girl who owned a deli, and they make pasta all the time and great focaccia bread, and I was eating all that stuff, and I was huge. And as soon as I stopped doing that, I lost all the weight. And you can eat all the fat you want. Don't let people tell you differently. It's stay away from sugar and carbs.
Here's the thing that I noticed. During the Olympics, there's always those McDonald's commercials where all the Olympians are saying, I gotta get my fuel. I'm gonna eat some chicken nuggets. I feel like in their case, they're not really doing that. They're getting paid to come to a commercial shoot where they talk about eating chicken McNuggets. But I think that at that level, when you're an Olympic athlete and you're putting that much energy into exercise to become the best in the world at something, I think you have a little bit more leniency to eat whatever you want. But when it comes to the normal person, especially someone battling obesity, I think this is something you can take to heart, as you were saying, is that, just eat less food and do better. They were saying that that they should get rid of the association between junk food and sports. Like that.
Yes, of course. When Michael Jordan endorsed Coca-Cola all those years, I always thought that was weird, right?
Yeah.
But then didn't he switch to Gatorade? Gatorade also full of sugar.
Gatorade is it's sugar water.
They go, here, look, electrolytes. No, it's sugar water.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of potassium floating in there, but it's mostly fruit punch taste.
Yeah, so I used to drink a 12-pack of soda, diet soda, every day, and then found out that's bad for you too because it screws up your teeth, and then that aspartame, some people say, gives you tumors. So I got off it. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I think we should drink less soda. And if we're ever
Let's not go too far now.
But yeah, I met some people who are from Europe, and they're like, God, you know what I see a lot of? They think of Americans as people who are holding like 64-ounce big gulps. That's what Americans are, especially when they go travel around.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That is what Americans are.
That's what we are. Yeah, so that's the show for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. No one seemed to take a lot of when I call people fat asses. Thank God I'm already contrite. And thanks to Jimmy Dorn and Caramo Brown.
Yes.
And thank you guys for watching. Check us out tomorrow in DC, live at the Museum. TYT and download the app. Goodbye, everybody.
Are we doing anything?